Good evening. I'd like to call this February 14th, 2023 School Board Regular Meeting, Budget Public Hearing Number 2, Budget Work Session Number 2, and Closed Meeting to order. Ms. Goodell, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Dr. Anderson?
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Dimick is not here. Ms. Downs?
Here?
Dr. Gould?
Here.
Ms. Silverman?
Here.
And Ms. Tice?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, Dr. Dimick should be joining us in a few minutes. If you could all join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are at 1.04. If I could have a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
I move that the board adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Could I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Tice. All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. Thank you. Motion carries. The agenda is adopted. And we are now at 1.05. You may notice someone new to my right. This is the oath of our office for the interim school board member, Jared Anderson. And Dr. Noonan, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations to Dr. Anderson on his appointment to the school board. This evening, we have the clerk of the court's chief deputy in Arlington County government, Christine Dietrich, is here tonight to administer the oath of office to Dr. Anderson. So at this point, we'd love to have his family come up and join him, and school board members come down and join him while he's sworn in as a new school board member. Yeah.
And Dr. Anderson, again, a great big welcome and congratulations. We're thrilled to have you on board. Okay, we are now at Section 2, Spotlight Team FCCPS, and 2.01, Progress Update on Investing in Our People. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Chair Downs, and good evening, everyone, again. Tonight, it's my honor and privilege to present a short video that gives kind of the mid-year overview of our new strategic plan, at least one portion of it. I think I hope everyone in the room knows that we implemented a new strategic plan this last year, and we thought it would be right at about the mid-year point to come forward with sort of an update. And this evening's update is specifically on the key action of investing in our people. And so I'd like to thank Dr. Paul Swanson, who worked closely along with our local TV folks, our public access folks, on putting together this video. And tonight we'll share this with you. And it's sort of a prelude to a presentation that our Director of Strategic Planning and Community Outreach is going to do a little later in the evening. Investing in our people that came out of our new strategic plan as one of the main focus areas. It's one of the most important aspects of our new strategic plan. In fact, our budget this year reflects it. The vast majority of our budget that we've put forward for review by the school board is investing in our people.
First, we have a step increase for all of our eligible employees. We have a 2% cost of living adjustment, as well as a longevity bonus for our employees who are at the top of the salary scale. Also, in terms of investments in our people, we have a number of benefit enhancements. We are increasing the sick leave payout for all of our employees when they retire or separate from the system. We have 6 weeks of parental leave for all of our employees, and we're adjusting the health insurance rates for our part-time employees so they can receive health benefit rates at the same rates as our full-time employees.
So as part of the investing in our people component of FCCPS's strategic plan, we're working with a consultant to complete a very comprehensive compensation study. The study encompasses positions throughout the district, teachers, support staff, administrators, and will give us a complete picture of our competitiveness across the market.
I know that one of the budget proposals is paid parental leave, and I can't really overstate how proud it makes me to work for a district that is proposing this, and not to mention, I think, the first in Virginia to propose a paid parental leave policy.
I know that there's a proposed budget where insurance premiums will be less for part-time drivers and for part-time people and bus drivers. The benefit for that is it make it less stressful for the bus driver financially.
When thinking about a professional development plan for FCCPS, we knew that we did not want to do this work in isolation, so we sought out to bring forward a group of diverse thinkers from various areas of the division. So instructional professionals, leadership professionals, but also staff members and support staff members. So with that, we sought out to create a professional development committee.
So this year we have invested quite a bit of time in professional development for our employees in FCCPS. First off, we committed to a division-wide professional development in August that was a conference style that gave our employees options of choice that best meet their needs. And then we also, in terms of a division professional development, take those short Wednesdays, those times within the year that the professional development is actually given at a school-based level.
The partnership we're developing with Northern Virginia Community College has the potential to be life-changing for our employees. There are people signed up now to earn an associate's degree, to earn teacher licensure, and to learn English. We're so excited that 12 people signed up the first semester that we've been offering tuition reimbursement, and we expect many more to do so in the future.
So FCCPS is helping pay for classes at Northern Virginia Community College, and it's a really great opportunity for me to get more education, because in education it pays to have education, and I'm going in so that I can get some classes at Nova and then move on to Mason and get my bachelor's degree.
I love that saying, Kayla.
Yeah.
It pays to have education in education.
It does.
So I'm going back for my teacher's licensure to gain that through Nova Community Colleges, thanks to the support of Falls Church City Public Schools, because I could not do it without it. So it's wonderful to get on that path. It's wonderful to be in the same cohort as Kayla,
Yes.
and it's exciting.
Estoy agradecida con FCCPS porque me ha dado la oportunidad de que pueda tomar unas clases y que ellos me las estén financiando. Voy a estudiar inglés. La próxima semana comienzo clases, es aproximadamente 5 meses. Espero poder retribuir con el aprendizaje lo que ellos están pagando por mí. Gracias.
It's the people that make our school system great. You know, we talk about the accolades quite often about Falls Church City Public Schools. You know, we have the best composite SOL scores, which is, you know, one measure of success. For the 5th year in a row, we've been ranked the #1 school division in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of the really outstanding people that we have in our system. So it's important for us to not only recruit the best, but to be able to retain the best as well. And by investing, whether it's through pay scales or increases in salary or better benefits or better professional development, but truly investing in the profession of the people that work for us is what's going to continue to make Falls Church City Public Schools great.
Information, and we're at 3.01, update on equity work in schools, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Chair Downs. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Tonight, I'm going to turn it over quickly to Mr. Bates, our Chief Academic Officer, and Dr. Santiago. So while John Brett is taking care of that, I did want to let the board know that we'll continue to update you on different sections of the strategic plan throughout the rest of the year. But tonight, you'll get an overview of each of the 5 key actions that we've been working on. But we'll continue to pump out some information for our community as well.
Thank you so much, and Mr. Brett, thanks to you and everyone who created that video and everyone who participated in the video. It was just terrific. I know my colleagues up here on the dais, a lot of these things had talked about last year and are very excited to see. And, you know, our school system is only as strong as the people we have employed. So, you know, I can say that this is, I think, for us, extremely exciting to see all these great initiatives to really invest in our people. So thank you. We are now moving on to Section 3, Recognitions and Reports, and we're at 3.01, and we have some special presenters today to talk to us about Give Day, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Tice, and she can give us a little bit of background.
Sure, thank you. Yes, we do have some very special guests. I think some of us up here will recognize some of the exciting students we have to share, but I did want to take a quick moment and highlight the fact that Give Day, I'll let them explain a little more what Give Day is, but it's really we lost so much during COVID and the pandemic, but I think whenever we can find a silver lining or something that we were able to improve upon during COVID, it's really important to highlight it. And I wanted to just give a special shout out to Chrissy Henderson, who is here, who I was able to work with 2 times now on Give Day. But back in 2021, she really doubled down and rethought the framework to make sure that we were still able to provide these opportunities for our students. And through that experience, we've been able to completely restructure what was already a wonderful program, but expand the opportunities for leadership opportunities for our students and the engagement within our community. And it's just really exciting to see where this program has gone, even over the short few years that I, with my parent hat on, have been a part of it. But I will let these wonderful students who represent, there are 5, I think, here tonight that represent the 42 5th grade ambassadors who led the Give Day program at the elementary level this year. There's some exciting things going on at the middle school and high school level that maybe we'll hear about later on in the spring. So with that, I'll invite these students up to the mic, and you just can find the little button, make sure the little light is on, and I'll let them take it away.
Okay. Hi, we're Give Day ambassadors from 5th grade. I'm Leah.
I'm Michael. I'm Connell. I'm Gwen.
I'm Elizabeth. And we're here to tell you about our Give Day experience. GIVE stands for Get Involved, Value Everyone, and reminds us that MLK Junior Day is best celebrated as a day of service. At the beginning, we were able to choose how we wanted to help the community by what we are passionate about.
Hi, once again, I'm Gwen. These groups then were animal welfare, food insecurity, art and sustainability in the environment, sports gear to Africa, and refugee assistance. Over the course of 8 weeks, we met to discuss and plan our big event. During this time, we learned a lot through guest speakers such as Danny from Glasshouse about environmental and sustainable issues. We were even able to experience a field trip to Food for Others, showing us how fortunate we are while learning that Food for Others is able to pack 3,000 power packs for kids in Fairfax each week.
At the big event on MLK Day, we saw our hard work pay off. Considering each group put in so much effort, we were able to pack almost 2,500 power packs, decorate and spread sustainable tote bags to the community, send tons of gear to kids in Mawali, Africa, deliver toys and supplies to the Animal Welfare League of Arlington, help the community build almost 2 pounds of toys for small animals, and donate money to help refugees who are settling in the United States.
This was a valuable project by learning teamwork, setting goals, and experiencing the learner profile traits in real life. These showed us being caring by thinking and putting others' needs in front of ours. We were also open-minded by looking around to see big problems while being open to make an impact.
The last trait that stood out was being communicators, because we had to communicate with our teams while we planned with our community members at the big event. We are grateful for FCCPS and the PTA for this experience, and to the Falls Church community for participating in the 2023 Give Day. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you did a terrific job, and we are grateful for all of you and all of your friends who really made us proud serving the community on behalf of Falls Church City Public Schools. And another shout out to Ms. Henderson, because I know that you really ran the whole thing. So thank you very much. Dr. Nguyen, do you think we could take a picture with the kids?
We are happy to take a picture with the kids. This is your show. So.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, thank you again to our Give Day friends. We're now moving on to section 3.02, Black History Month resolution. And let me pull that up. I'm going to read this resolution into the record. Falls Church City Public School Board Resolution 02-23, Black History Month. Whereas the month of February is recognized as Black History Month, and whereas Falls Church City Public Schools are committed to recognizing and celebrating the diverse cultures represented in our community, staff, and students, and whereas President Clinton issued a presidential proclamation recognizing the month of February as National Black History Month, Whereas Carter G. Woodson first began the week-long celebration in 1926 and chose February in honor of the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. And whereas this month is a time to learn about the history and cultures of our African American and Black community and an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans. And whereas there are more than 40 million Black people in the United States, making up 13% of the nation's population as of 2019. And whereas the theme for Black History Month 2023 is Black Resistance, exploring how African Americans have resisted historic and ongoing oppression in all forms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Falls Church City School Board does hereby proclaim February 20th, 23 as Black History Month in Falls Church City Public Schools and urges all to respect and honor our diverse community and celebrate and build a culture of inclusivity and equity. Okay, and if I could have a motion, please, to approve this resolution. Yes, Vice Chair Gould.
I move that the school board approve and adopt Resolution 02-23 Black History Month as presented.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick. All those in favor say yes. Yes.
Celine.
All those opposed say no. Thank you. Motion carries. We are now at 3.03, School Board Appreciation. Dr. Neal, I'll turn that over to you.
Well, you know, February is also School Board Appreciation Month, and so we wanted to take some time out this evening to first say thank you to our school board for your incredible work on behalf of the students that we serve each day in the City of Falls Church. And tonight at your places, you'll find a small succulent from our local Botanologica. I'd like to give them a plug. They're really an outstanding little shop in our city. That represents just sort of our appreciation to you for the work that you do. Also, you have a folder with a certificate in it that is from the VSBA recognizing your service as a school board member. And then we have some friends that want to send a special thanks from our schools. And so I'll turn it over to John Brett for that.
Celine.
Yeah.
Do you know what a school board is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's bouncy.
Everett, what's a school board?
It's when you play games. What is it like?
There's lots of meetings and people talk. You're dressed for the part though. Do you want to be on the school board when you grow up?
Yeah.
You do? You do?
No.
Haley, if you were in charge of the school board, what would you do?
Stand by in my unicorn.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you,
School bear?
Thank you for all that you do for the staff and students of Falls Church City.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, school board. Our schools appreciate your hard work.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, school board, for working countless hours to improve our school.
Thank you, school board, for all you guys do for us.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you for always supporting us and being completely awesome.
Thank you, school board. We appreciate you. Thank you for working hard.
Happy School Board Appreciation Month.
Thank you. Thank you, school board.
We appreciate you.
Happy School Board Appreciation Month.
Hi, school board. Thank you so much. Happy Appreciation Month.
Hi, school board. We appreciate you.
Hi, school board.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thanks to our local officials on the school board.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hi, school board. Hey, thanks for everything you do. We know about how hard your job is because we're learning about it in AP Gum. Thank you.
Hi, Falls Church School Board.
We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
High school board.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, school board, for all the hard work and allowing me to get the best education possible.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Hi, guys.
Just wanted to let you know that we really appreciate y'all being school board members.
In addition to being our parents. Thank you.
Happy Appreciation Month.
I love the school board.
Oh my
We
goodness.
hope you enjoyed that.
Oh.
I also want to give a shout out to Michael Kasher. Michael's obviously our student representative of the school board, and you were not overlooked in there. Your friends were sort of laughing as we went around and talked to him and appreciated you too. So, yeah, absolutely. We know the hours you put in.
Yes, thank you, Misha. And that was adorable. So thank you, Mr. Brett. And I can't even imagine how many people had to get involved to pull that off. So that was unbelievable. And I think Dr. Noonan's advice, don't run for school board. No comments for right now, but anyway, yes, thank you. That was awesome. Really brought a smile to all of our. I'm sure you saw us up here just grinning from ear to ear. Thank you so much. Now this is going to be called Mutual Admiration Society tonight because we're now going to move on to 3.04 School Board Clerk Appreciation, and our school board clerk. They only have a week for School Board Clerk Appreciation, but I really think it should be an entire year because for those of you who don't know, Ms. Marty Goodell she makes us look like things are just seamless. And they behind the scenes, I forget things, and Marty keeps us all on track, and she makes sure that we get our state required, economic paperwork in that we love doing every year. She gets us signed up for different events through the VSBA. Does our agenda every other week, just helps answer questions, anything, and it's always anytime anyone asks me something I don't know, I usually say, ask Marty. So I just wanted to thank you, Ms. Goodell, for all that you do to really make us look great. I don't know, I'm sure that you all have a couple words that you'd like to say as well.
Yeah, I echoing everything Ms. Downs said. I think the one thing that Ms. Goodell does that people don't see sometimes is she does the compliance, she does the organization, but she also does the service and she does the partnership, and we all feel like a team because of her. I think her values is exactly what Falls Church City, public schools epitomizes, and she does that every day, and we really do appreciate working with you and really appreciate everything that you give us. So.
I'll just be much more basic. Thank goodness you keep us all on task and remind us when to turn things in, because otherwise it would all fall apart.
I'm kind of along there with Dr. Dimick. Thank you for everything you do for me, of reminding me of everything I need to do, all the paperwork, all the signups, all the everything, calendaring, everything, all my questions. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
So for as long as I've been on the board, you've been fantastic. You made everything very smooth. I appreciate it.
All right, my turn. Thank you so much. I will echo, thank you for all the nudges and the reminders in the organization, but you also are just so kind and approachable and open to conversation. I'm just so grateful for you in so many ways. And I also have something to present to you from all of the board, a little gift of our appreciation.
I think next year we'll do a video for you, Ms. Goodell. So,
I'm looking forward to that. Okay, we are now going to move on to 3.05, Strategic Plan Mid-Year Update, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Chair Downs. And sort of as I mentioned before, the video was a precursor for a more robust sort of overview of where we are with respect to our strategic plan. So this evening is just a report out about some of the actions and activities that we've taken so far to date as we begin our first year into our new 5-year strategic plan. And this evening, we are fortunate enough to have our Director of Strategic Planning and Community Outreach, Mary Beth Connolly, with us to do the presentation. So at this point, I'll turn it over to her. Thank you, Ms. Connolly.
Thank you, Dr. Noonan. I have to tell you all, I've never sat in this seat before, so I'm getting a whole new view on the chamber. It is lovely to be here tonight, and I am pleased to present the strategic plan update. Now, there's a lot of slides here, so I'm going to fly through them because I know you have a long agenda. We took a bite snack meal approach to this. So I think on your desk you got the bite. This is a quick review of all the things that have happened in the last 6 months with our strategic plan. This is the snack, so I'll make it as short as I can. And then the meal is on the website. So everything you're seeing on there and then you'll see in the slideshow is also much more in depth on the website with progress monitoring and evidence. So I gotta turn it on. Hang on. I did. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to review the plan. We're going to talk about progress updates and then what's next. No. Oh. All right. Clearly, I've never sat in a seat before. All right. Here we go. So we introduced the plan at the convocation back in August, and Dr. Noonan spoke to all of our staff about what was going to happen. And as we put together the plan, we looked at the FCCPS mission, visions, core values, and collective commitments. And you've seen all of these. This is our main strategic plan graphic that shows the 5 focus areas that we are looking at. IB-infused teaching and learning, wellness, equity, and belonging, communication and engagement, investing in our people, and resource management, and continuous improvement. And this is what Dr. Noonan said at convocation. With the implementation of this plan over the next 5 years, I believe we will continue to be the best division in the state and have the best working conditions of any division. And I kept that in there because I think that's a really important promise that was made back in August. So here's our update. These are some of the highlights. The FY24 proposed budget is aligned with the strategic plan. The 5 school action plans that you saw are also aligned with the strategic plan. And more than 500 people are involved in the project implementation simply because there are more than 500 employees in our school division, and every single solitary one of them is doing something, as well as community members. So here are the school action plans. You saw them in October. They're all aligned with the plan. This is the secondary school action plans. Here's the proposed budget, also aligned with the strategic plan. And then these are some of the activities. So we took all of the things that are happening in the schools, talked to all of the staff who are enacting all of these things, and asked them, what are the highlights of some of the activities and where do they fit? So as we went through, we realized that a lot of the things fit under more than one category. Some of them could be investing in our people and IB-infused teaching and learning. So we divided them up as best we can, but if some of them you see twice, it's because they fit in a couple different areas. So these are the investing in our people items that we just saw. So these are the ones I'm going to fly through because we just saw a video about all of these. And the tuition reimbursement and the religious holiday leave have taken place. These are in progress, more in progress. And the last thing that we haven't really covered yet are exploring savings from substitute budget, and we will do that coming up in the future. In IB-infused teaching and learning, so these are some of the activities that we plan to do. And these were all talked about at convocation. And here's where we are on all of those. I can talk about any of those specifically if you'd like, but I think you've heard of all of them, so we don't need to go into all those details. I'm Under wellness, equity, and belonging, there are a lot of activities going on. These are some of the main ones. These are a few more. And they are all in progress at this point. And you may be wondering, what does that mean? Are they in progress? I'm going to back up one. The last two there we have that we talked about back in August: limit new initiatives in FCCPS and work hard to rediscover the joy in our work and figure out what new will be. As we've been working on the strategic plan, we realized that some things need adjustment and need to be reconsidered. So we looked at that one and thought, we actually are doing new things. And we said we are trying not to, but it's hard not to do new things because we have a new strategic plan and there's a lot going on. So we thought it would be better to revisit that one. What's a better way to word that? And what's a better way to think about rediscovering joy in our work? So after talking to some of our staff, the intent to discover the joy in our work remains, and the joy happens every day. We're trying to limit new initiatives, but a lot is happening this school year. So we're going to commit together to find joy while meeting the needs of students and staff without promising no more new initiatives. So that one has been revisited. We also have resource management and continuous improvement, and these are some of the ways that we're looking at that area. And all of those are in progress. And under communication and engagement, the communications survey just went out this week. It'll be open for the next 2 weeks. We have had some great success with ClassTag and teachers being able to communicate with parents in the language of choice. And then these are a few of the other options, things we're working on in communication and engagement. And all of those are in progress as well. So I'm going to restate what Dr. Noonan said back in August, which is with the implementation of this plan over the next 4.5 years, because we're a half a year into it, I believe we'll continue to be the best division in the state and have the best working conditions of any division. So what's next? We have ongoing work on the initiatives that are in progress, that we can put that green check and say that they are complete. We have additional key actions to address. There were 14 key actions that were part of the plan. We've only really officially addressed 4, so we have a lot more key actions to address. We'd like to involve more people in project implementation, and that means community members and staff members to move them into the next level of implementation. And we'll continue to update the community on our website with the monthly videos. Every month at school board meetings, you'll see a new video about the other focus areas. And then in June, we'll do a 1-year update. So your meal is the strategic plan. I don't know if I can I click on that, John? The website? Can I click on that link? Can you click on that link? If you click on that link, it takes you to a new web page. And on that website, John, if you scroll down a little bit, so this lists, again, all of our areas that we just went through, but just click on that very first link where it says Create Innovative Opportunities for Learning and Growth. Yeah. And keep going. So these are all the things that are on the slideshow with evidence and more deep descriptions of the activities and what is happening in all of the schools. So as different groups are working on those, they're updating us on their activities, and we're making sure that they'll show up on that website so you can see how all of these are playing out. And there'll be an editorial in the Fall Church News Press on Thursday describing even more. And tomorrow we have 2 town hall meetings, one with staff to talk this through with staff, and then another community meeting in the evening to talk about the rest. So that is where we are on the strategic plan. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Connolly. Very, very informative. And, I think a lot of times when I've been in organizations where we've done strategic plans and they're sort of put on the shelf. And, it's a great visual, a great way to really keep it up front and center so everyone keeps it, in mind. And this is just, it's fantastic. I love the in progress, the check marks. I mean, one thought I had is, and I'm sure you and John probably already thought of this, but, sort of teasers and morning announcements when things are completed, put that check mark in there, yeah, and then and drive them to the website to get more, as a sort of a teaser. But it's fantastic. And, again, the investing in in our people. I love the healthcare insurance for our part-time employees. I love that parental leave. So it's just fantastic, and the way that you have made it more digestible, so it's not a humongous. Very, sometimes I think it can be overwhelming for someone to try to figure out, okay, how does it sounds great, but how does that work on the ground? And you clearly have done that. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. Yes, Ms. Silverman.
I just had a comment. We talk about these numbers all the time, 2% COLA and step increase, parental leave, 6 weeks of parental leave, health insurance rate decreases, the tuition reimbursement program. We talk about these things, and they sound very abstract. And when we watch a video like that and watching the people who are really affected by these things, I was really moved with their stories. And some of those staff people I know, some of them I don't know. And it was just really great to hear how these things that we talk about up here are really affecting people's lives. And I think that was just really important to put those pieces together.
I agree. It's so inspirational to hear and see how things that are on paper are real. So we titled the editorial in the News Press, "It's a living plan, not a dusty binder," because I feel like that's really important, it's living and it is affecting people's lives, children and adults and everyone in this community. So it's really my honor to work on it and to be able to work with the staff that are making all these things happen.
Thank you. That's a great point, Ms. Silverman. Yes, Ms. Tice.
I'll echo that. Thank you so much. I just am really impressed by how much has happened. And I mean, when I joined the board only a year ago, this was still, an idea and a work in progress. And the fact that it's published and it's implemented and we're seeing the progress in real time is just really exciting. And I'm so impressed with all the work that's been done. And it's really fun to see it displayed so clearly and to be able to monitor it. I had two very tiny questions. I was just curious in the communication part when you mentioned the not the communication survey, in the wellness. Sorry, it was under wellness. The parent survey for wellness, which is exciting. I know, having served and been liaison on so many committees, everyone always wants to do a survey, and we can get surveyed out. So I was curious if the Health and Wellness Committee was going to be able to be consulted or be advised on what is going to be asked to see if any of it aligns with some of their priorities or if there was an opportunity for them to be a part of that process.
We have been working with K-12. There's a staff group that has been working on this. The liaisons to those committees have been on that staff group to reflect what has come up in those meetings. And we have arranged the survey such that it'll be asking questions about people and their experiences that will help inform what health and wellness and other groups would like to know. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, because I know that everyone working so hard on these committees is just so hungry for feedback from the community and wants to know that what they believe the community is interested in is accurate, or what their experiences are.
Right.
So that's great. And then my only other comment is I'm so thrilled to hear about the local history curriculum. It's something that I remember pre-COVID talking about when we hired the consultant for all of our DEI work, and it was always something that's been in conversation. So to see it, in print and in progress is very exciting. And I know that I'm sure the Mary Riley Stiles is also excited to lend any of their local history room. Would be such a fantastic underutilized resource in our community. That would be exciting to think that the students might be able to be more exposed to that as part of that curriculum.
They are. The teacher who is running that, Jamie Osborne, is at Mary Ellen Henderson, and she has been doing interviews with people in the community for the last 2 months, including Marshall at Mary Riley Stiles Library and others all over the community, to find out, really get some in-depth, what is the history of the community and how are we going to fit it in. She's doing an amazing job.
That's so exciting. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Connolly, so much. I know it's different for you to not be up here, but we're very happy to have you. And thank you again for all of your work, all of your work, and also the piece of communicating all of this work. So thank you very much. And more to come, I know. So we look forward to it.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, we're at 4.01, public comments and requests. In accordance with School Board Policy BDDH, the time for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Additional written statements may be submitted to the clerk for dissemination to the board members and for the record. And we have, I believe, 3 speakers this evening. I'd like to call Debbie Liang to the podium.
Oh, never mind. Okay, sorry. Good evening. My name is Debbie Liang, and I want to start by thanking you all for serving on the school board. I know that the time commitment and responsibilities are endless. I am the library aide at Oak Street and volunteered to be part of the committee to draft the collective bargaining resolution for your consideration. It has been an interesting collaboration. Thank you for including the staff in this process. Last spring, during meetings 2 through 5, we discussed the scope of bargaining. At the beginning, there was not consensus on including working conditions, but after negotiations, similar to what we would do in collective bargaining, 4 working conditions were included. Last month, we learned that the school board was willing to consider adding additional conditions in the future. Thank you. Now a comment on the superintendent's budget, which you will develop into the school board's budget. I think, as we know from the video, many people appreciate that the proposed budget includes paid parental leave and full-time insurance rates for part-time employees. During our conversations last spring, paid parental leave was mentioned frequently to the 3 staff representatives. I heard about the insurance rate concern from the bus drivers I spoke to during summer school. I want to thank Dr. Noonan and his staff for including those items in the budget. However, upon reflection, I think it's important to note that there are potentially more working conditions of concern for the operational staff that we value so much. I am glad that the school board is considering allowing more working conditions in the future, but I still wonder if the working conditions for the first collective bargaining agreement may be too narrow. I hope you will consider these thoughts as we work together for a collective bargaining resolution that will address the full breadth of staff concerns. Thank you again for your support of collective bargaining.
Thank you, Ms. Liang. Our next speaker is Ms. Pam Mahoney.
Good evening. I'm Pam Mahoney, a Falls Church resident, voter, parent, teacher, and president of the Falls Church Education Association. Welcome to Dr. Anderson. I'm excited to see you join this distinguished body and look forward to engaging with you in our joint efforts to make Falls Church the best school district. And on behalf of FCCA, I would also like to wish everyone a happy School Board Appreciation Week and happy School Board Clerk Appreciation Week to Ms. Goodell. I'm here tonight to point out some collective bargaining milestones that have occurred throughout the Commonwealth over the last several months. Notably, 4 Virginia school districts have now passed resolutions to guarantee staff-exclusive bargaining agents a seat at the table for decisions that will shape their working conditions and student learning conditions. Richmond City Schools resolution allows for negotiation over wages, benefits, health and safety, quality of life issues, and other terms and conditions of employment. The Prince William County and Arlington County resolutions allow for negotiation over wages, benefits, and all terms and conditions of employment. The Charlottesville Schools resolution allows for a gradual expansion of the scope of bargaining to any topic by the second contract. These are exciting developments for our colleagues in the state, and I'm proud to say that Falls Church may soon be the 5th school board to pass a collective bargaining resolution. However, I want to point out that the best resolution for us is not one that makes Falls Church look more restrictive to worker rights in comparison to our peers across the state. I know that negotiating over a wide scope with the union is a scary prospect for some, but it is in keeping with our values of sustainability, reducing inequality, human rights, and investing in our people. I hope you can see that a well-designed resolution that allows for a wider scope of bargaining will serve as a recruiting tool for new staff. I've already had conversations with colleagues in school districts adjacent to Charlottesville who are afraid that they will lose good candidates to districts with better bargaining contracts. If we're competing for staff with Arlington and other districts who have more expansive resolutions, it could be a real negative factor for us. So I ask you to consider this point as we hopefully come to a conclusion of our draft resolution meetings and the full board considers the adoption of the final resolution. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Mahoney. And our final speaker this evening is Ms. Carly Swanson.
Hi, I'm Carly Swanson. I am a teacher here in Falls Church City. I'm here tonight to encourage you to consider an expansive collective bargaining resolution for Falls Church City Public Schools. I have enjoyed my 4 years here in FCCPS because of the caring culture in our schools. An expansion of collective bargaining in a expansive collective bargaining resolution would be another way for Falls Church City to continue investing in our people. It would help us continue to attract and retain dedicated staff. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Okay, and that is, those are our speakers for this evening. And Ms. Goodell, we did not receive any written comments, correct? Not for the, okay. Thank you. Okay, then we're going to move on now to section 5.01, budget public hearing number 2. In accordance with School Board Policy BDDH, the time for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Additional written statements may be submitted to the clerk for dissemination to board members and for the record. And there are some written comments for that.
Yes, we received 3 comments for the public hearing.
Okay, 3 comments, but no speakers.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we have some posted comments there, and board members can read those there. Okay, we're at 6 now, closed meeting. We're at 6.01. If someone could read us into close, please. Yes, Dr. Dimick.
Pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, I move that the school board convene a closed meeting for the following purpose: to discuss or consider the identified subject matter, personnel under Section 2.2-3711A1 in particular, staff appointments, staff reassignments, staff resignations, staff retirements, staff performance, staff change in position, staff separation, dependent care leave, long-term medical leave, child care leave requests and leave of absence, and legal matters under Section 2.2-3711A8. In particular, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by the public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Silverman. All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. Okay, thank you. We'll move into closed, and I think this
one's going to be a little bit longer, but we're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We are at 6.03. If someone could please put forward a motion to reconvene to open. Yes, Vice Chair Gould.
6.03.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I move that the board reconvene an open meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gould. Move a second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick. All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. Okay, thank you. We're at 7.01. Certify the closed meeting. If I could have someone make this motion.
Yeah.
Okay, Vice Chair Gould.
I'll give Sue a break. Whereas the Falls Church City School Board is convened its closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3711B of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Falls Church City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gould. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick. Ms. Goodell, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Dr. Anderson.
Here.
Dr. Dimick.
Yes.
Ms. Downs.
Yes.
Dr. Gould.
Yes.
Ms. Silverman.
Yes.
And Ms. Tice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're now at item 8, consent agenda. And in front of you, we've got personnel items. approval of summer daycare fees, which is only a couple dollars increase. Approval of school board liaison assignments, which is basically Dr. Anderson's new assignments as he's coming on the board. Adoption of our 2023 School Board Code of Civility. Again, that's with Dr. Anderson joining us. And so we're at 8.05. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to approve the consent agenda. And hearing no objections, the consent agenda is approved. We're now at 9.01 school start times, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Chair Downs, and welcome back from closed session. Just let me, before I turn it over to our Chief Operating Officer and our Chief Academic Officer, sort of tee this presentation up a little bit for you. Just to say that our last presentation that we did regarding start times was fairly narrow in scope. And the scope of the presentation was really, in many ways, just to sort of give a general sense of what the current state of play was, what the lay of the land was, and then some operational challenges that we may face if we were to start changing or tinkering with start times. And we took that narrow focus and understand that may have resulted in some questions and some further questions. And this evening, we're happy at the board's request to share a more broad presentation that gives a little bit more context to the work. We are not going to go through the previous presentation that was done in November, but we will pick up with some new information. And what you'll see, however, we have included last time's presentation slides in the presentation deck, so anyone who wanted to go back and look at those could. But tonight, you'll be hearing from folks around some of the research that's out there regarding start times, and I think it's understood that there's an awful lot of research out there that suggests that starting later is good for teenage students. We'll also, at the same time, share an option that would be available if we wanted to slide start times to later, particularly for our secondary campus, and sort of the effects that might have on the different schools. And then lastly, sort of brief you on some of our next steps immediately as we consider the option. So we're hopeful that this begins to continue answering some of your, not begins, but continues to answer some of your questions that you may have regarding start times along with the community, and look forward to your discussion and more direction from the board. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kristen Michael and Mr. Bates for their presentation this evening that, again, is sort of a follow-on presentation from the last.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Noonan. I'll go ahead and start off this evening. So good evening, Madam Chair Downs, Vice Chair Gould, and members of the board. And as Dr. Noonan alluded to, we know, and as someone who has been at the secondary or worked in secondary education as a high school principal and assistant principal and teacher, and someone who has paid attention to the research and debates over later start times, I am somewhat familiar with the research, or I'd like to think that I have a general understanding or pretty solid understanding of the research. And so I prefaced all of that in the beginning of this presentation with the fact that I think what you'll see emerge out of the first 5 or so slides is that there is strong support and increasing support over the last couple of decades around positive implications for sleep or extra sleep for students, especially students in those teenage years. And so we're going to talk through that for the first 5 or so minutes. But this first slide that we have here, this is from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and they released 2 articles. The first one was Schools Start Too Early, and the second was School Start Times for Adolescents. And it included, that second one, the School Start Times for Adolescents, it included research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. And based upon the studies, there are recommendations that included teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18 years old should regularly sleep around 8 to 10 hours per day or per evening for good health. The studies also cited that adolescents who do not get enough sleep, there are some implications, potential negative implications for that include being overweight, not being engaged at a higher level in daily physical activities, suffering from depression, engaging in risky behaviors. Those behaviors may include tobacco use, drinking, or illicit drug use. And then they've also, a number of studies have also looked at school performance, overall school performance and engagement, and have seen implications on how sleep may negatively impact students that don't receive adequate sleep. And then the article, School Starts Too Early, the author cited some things that stakeholders can do. They looked at things that parents can do, and that included setting a regular bedtime schedule or a tighter schedule, tightening up schedules for students, and including the weekends. Also, things that parents might be able to do, such as dimming the lights. Studies have found that adolescents who are exposed to more light or increased light, such as room lighting or even computer and phone, tablet lighting, might have an impact on their sleep. It also talked about technology use, computers, video gaming, and mobile phones. Excuse me. We know that there are some studies out there that have shown that, and not just with teenagers, but in general, if you're gaming, if you're you're tracking social media on a phone, once you turn that off, it does take some time to fully disengage from that and kind of get your mind clear of some of the things that you were just involved in with having that phone near the bed or in the bed. And so it talked about things that parents might be able to do to support their students with that. And then for school officials, this particular study talked about how school officials could familiarize themselves with potential implications of sleep, more sleep versus less sleep for students. In September of 2014, the American Academy of Pediatrics policy statement recommended that middle and high schools start no earlier than 8:30. It also cited that insufficient sleep is a public health issue that impacts the health and safety as well as success academically for students in middle school and high school students primarily. Some of the studies also acknowledge that there are other factors that may impact sleep that include puberty, lifestyle choices or personal choices, or the demands of academics. But there is evidence that strongly implicates that earlier start times are a key modifiable contributor to insufficient sleep, and that insufficient sleep can disrupt the circadian rhythm of teenagers. Further research supports delaying school start times, and they say that delaying school start times could be an effective countermeasure for chronic sleep loss, and has a wide range of potential benefits for students' physical and mental health, safety, and academic achievement. And the American Academic of Pediatrics supports the efforts that high schools and middle schools have made to provide students with opportunities to achieve optimal sleep time. And they consider optimal sleep time to be between that 8.5 and 9.5 hour range. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine, that's our next slide. In April of 2017, they published a position statement, and the position statement was on delaying middle school and high school start times promotes student health and performance. And so in this statement, they cited studies that showed the implementation of later start times for adolescents is associated with total longer total sleep time, reduced daytime sleepiness, increased engagement in classroom activities, and reduced first hour tardiness and absenteeism for students. Delayed school start times are also associated with reduced depressive symptoms and irritability, and a reaction time. So they looked at safety implications, and they found that reaction time actually improved when students had that what was defined as adequate sleep, and a study found that there was a decline of 16.5% in crash rates. On October 13th of 2019, the California Senate Bill number 328 was passed, and this made California the first state to mandate delayed start times for schools, specifically high schools not being able to start earlier than 8:30 and middle schools no earlier than 8 a.m., and this was the first state to do this. They did, however, provide public school districts a three-year transformation time to implement the later start times, and they also had a couple of other items listed in there that included rural communities having an exemption, and then also an optional period, which are many refer to them as zero periods, but a zero period would be a class period that starts before the school day begins. And so some of these periods may start as early as 7 or 7:30 a.m., but those were also exempted in that policy bill that was passed. Other states do have some legislation currently that is pending, and one is Massachusetts, and Massachusetts legislation mirrors California, and then New York and New Jersey also have legislation pending that says start time would not start prior to 8:30 at the high school level. And then we'll close out this section here with a number of articles that were published in some journals here. And so we have them listed here for you if you would like to review if you haven't already done so. But the Atlantic, the New York Times, U.S. News and World Report, and the Science Advances all have published articles that provide further support and research on implications of more sleep time versus less sleep time, and how students, especially at the secondary level, are impacted.
So thank you for the opportunity to share an option for adjusting secondary start times later. So the most common method for making secondary schools start later is to switch with elementary school. But as we pointed out in the previous presentation, we are bound by a 2232 agreement with Fairfax County that doesn't allow Mount Daniel to start before 8:50 a.m. and then it also restricts it that it can't end any earlier than 4 p.m. So if we for a moment assume that we can't modify that 2232 agreement, we've come up with another option that will also help. So the option that we identified is to move Jessie Thackeray Preschool to our first bell slot. So moving Jessie Thackeray to the first bell slot is also going to help us address the secondary buses that are arriving at the campus right now about 30 minutes before school starts. So if you look at all of our current secondary bus runs, you'll notice that there are 4 of them that are getting to the high school very early, to the secondary campus. And those buses are arriving early because they're dropping off students and then they're running to do the Jessie Thackeray Preschool run prior to the elementary run. So if we were to shift our preschool start time to 7:55 a.m. and make that the first bell, preschool would start 20 minutes earlier. Then middle and high school start time could shift from 8:05 to 8:30 a.m. in line with the recommendation from the American Academy of Pediatrics. When we look at that in terms of the bus start time, our bus pickups would shift either by 25 minutes, 34 minutes, or 44 minutes for those buses that were previously picking up from JTP. So as we think about this option, there's that benefit from the school start time shifting later, but also that benefit from some of those buses shifting later as well. Then to accommodate that, the next thing that we would need to do is we would need to shift elementary start times 10 minutes later to 9 a.m., and then they would complete by 4 p.m. in line with that 22-32 agreement. And then through all of this, we would also then recommend shifting the late bus for the secondary campus also by 25 minutes to line up with the secondary start time. In every one of these changes, we haven't impacted staff time. We've just shifted their time. So on this slide, we've provided a sample bus driver schedule. This is just one bus driver, and we use the option that we laid out in the previous slide. So here you can see at the very top left, and I know it's kind of small in this room, this bus driver would start picking up students for Jesse Thackeray Preschool at 7:25 a.m., right? And those students would arrive at Jesse Thackeray Preschool at 7:50. So in this example, it would give that bus driver from 7:50 when they drop the students off at Jesse Thackeray Preschool until 8:02 to pick up their first run of students for the secondary campus. And we know that this is a limited amount of time between these runs. And we do know that on paper, as we've planned this does look possible, but it is something that we would want to test. And when we look at, in this case, this secondary school bus run would conclude when the students arrived at the secondary campus at 8:14, about 15 minutes before school starts. And then that bus driver then would continue on, and they would do their run. This is a driver that after the secondary campus does a Mount Daniel bus run. So they have about 17 or 16 minutes to get from the secondary campus to their first pickup for the elementary run. And they would conclude that run at 9 a.m., which is at the start time at Mount Daniel. Our current bus runs, as published, show the buses at the elementary levels arriving at the school exactly at the time they start, and they're currently getting there a little bit earlier. So I wanted you to know that we planned this out on paper using the existing runs. So as we explore this option, we would continue to look at that. But I do think the buses would get there as they do now shortly before school at the elementary level. But we do have less gap time at the elementary level from when students arrive and when school starts as compared to the secondary campus to give the students time to transition to their classes. In the small box on the right, we've showed the afternoon runs. Jesse Thackeray Preschool has a shorter instructional day, so they would depart at 2 p.m. Then that driver would have a little bit of a gap until we departed the secondary school at 3:30. They would complete that run by about 3:42, giving them just under 20 minutes to get to the elementary school at Oak Street to pick up those students for their afternoon run, and they would complete that in time to be back at the high school for that late run. So when you look at all this, it does look very tight on paper, and we know that this is human dependent, but we will work to refine these further. We do know that if we end up having a delay of some form with these runs being tight, that delay would flow through. So that is one of the things that we would look at. But by not having a gap between schools, you do run that risk of if there's an incident on an earlier bus that it would flow through. Generally, that's our biggest concern in the afternoon as we look at the Mount Daniel buses needing parents to pick up their students. If the parents aren't at the bus stop, those students are returned to the school, right, which then impacts the late run, for example. So that's the most common example there. So I'm going to turn it over to William to talk about potential student impacts.
Thank you, Kristen. So I think the debate comes in when we juxtapose the research and the benefits that research supports versus operational challenges that school systems, organizations would face in this. And so there are some things that we do have to consider as far as student impacts. First being the instructional impact. We currently have a longstanding agreement with Arlington Public Schools with their ACC program. We send students there. And so adjusting our high school bell schedule to a later start time could impact some of our students and their ability to access courses through the ACC in Arlington. And what one of the challenges could be is the amount of time that they have in their schedule and being able to, based upon when courses are offered, keep a schedule that's similar to what students have had over the previous years. And so that's something that we would we would need to look at. One of the things I've always told coaches as a principal is that you're a teacher first. And many of our coaches are classroom teachers. And so one of the other things that we would have to look at is the fact that our coaches are currently able to start class, that last class of the day before they depart for away matches. And so shifting the bell schedule could mean that some of our coaches could have to miss the entire last block of class, which would be about 84 minutes, as opposed to half a class. That would also require the high school to have to find substitutes to cover those classes for the entire block, as opposed to half of the block. As far as athletics are concerned, depending upon the dismissal time, the instructional time for student athletes could increase. And right now, students aren't missing they're not missing a full block, but they could potentially miss a full block. I think in some cases, students may miss a portion of the block or up to half of the block, but depending upon the team and where they're traveling to and the time that they have to be dismissed, we're seeing that they could potentially have to miss close to a full block with that additional half hour. Some of the other things that we have to look at are coaches may not opt for before school practices, or they may opt for before school practices. When we look at our cross country team and daylight saving times, that's something that they may have to do. And then also under our activities, a delay in the secondary school start times could reduce the number of staff available for after-school activities and clubs, because employees might not be able to stay for those extracurriculars if they're not done until 5 p.m. And this could also impact students who participate in non-FCCPS activities after school, because they may have trouble fitting everything into that reduced or more compacted schedule. As a reminder, our students need to be dismissed, our student athletes, they need to be dismissed about 30 minutes prior to the bus departure, because this allows them time for getting to the locker room, picking up their uniforms, getting a pregame meal, and gathering equipment and anything else that they may need to do. And Mr. Park, our athletic director, shared with me just yesterday that he's already needed to spend about $15,000 this year on charter buses because of the challenge of our current bus driver force not being able to do their runs fully and then also have the time to drive our student athletes to an away match. And so there could be further implications on that if we push our times back, because we look for our current workforce, our bus drivers, to be the ones to drive our students to these away matches. And if we're not able to do that, then we potentially have to charter out to a private organization for a fee, obviously.
So employee impacts to shifts in school hours could be positive, neutral, or negative. All of our employee work schedules would shift. That would include teachers, paras, custodians, bus drivers, all of those groups of employees. But it's really important to note that their contract time would not be reduced, right? So people's pay wouldn't be changing. It's just that their schedule would shift. So for example, looking at custodians, we have custodians during the day who start before school starts, and they're there until the end of the school day. And then the majority of our custodians work in the evening after students leave. So if we were to shift school times later, it would just shift the starting time for custodians later as well, because they can't start their work until the space is vacated for them to begin cleaning. And when we look at the commute, some of our employees have reported that traffic and tolls, there's an impact in terms of if they're higher or lower depending on the time of day. FCCPS currently offers a transit benefit to our employees. If we were to look at anything like a toll subsidy, that's a taxable wage benefit and would be treated as such. And then when we look at childcare, again, the change in school start times may impact employees' childcare. Potentially, it could give them more time either before or after school. And again, those impacts could be positive, negative, or neutral. And then, as William indicated, looking at our after-school activities, that's primarily at the middle school level. If those activities don't end until 5 p.m., that could potentially impact staff availability to run those activities. When we look at parental impacts, again, these parental impacts could be very positive, they could be neutral or negative, or actually they could be a combination of them for families. Families' considerations include things like childcare, whether it's before school, after school, or both. Potentially the times they're dropping off or picking up their students from school and if they're on their way to or from work. It could impact the times of activities that students are doing outside of school if they have lessons, an additional sports club, or even a job if they're a student. And then, of course, the traffic for people coming and going from our buildings. It's hard to judge what the traffic impact would be because when we look at the traffic around the secondary campus, for example, a lot of that traffic is driven by our families. So it's hard to tease out how much traffic is attributable to us and other traffic. When we look at our daycare program, our preliminary thinking is if we were to move forward with this option and our program would shift 10 minutes at the elementary level, that we would not need to make any type of adjustment in our daycare fees. But should we move forward with the option of shifting elementary and secondary, switching them, that would be a substantial change to the number of hours for before and after school daycare. So then we would reassess those fees for that program. And we would also probably need to look at enrollment because that change may impact the number of families and when they would like that care. So when we think of our next steps, the first next step that we have is that 2232 agreement with Fairfax County and potentially looking at if that could be modified or adjusted. All of the planning that we've done today for transportation routes has been done on paper, and I really wanted to thank Regina Anderson, our new transportation director, and Dawn Mills, our transportation coordinator, to help plan all that through. So we'd really like an opportunity to test those runs. There's nothing like driving through a run and checking in traffic. So we would really appreciate the opportunity to do that. We would like to gather feedback from our employees, and then we would also like to reach out to Rec and Parks. We have a really great memorandum of understanding with Rec and Parks, and included in that agreement is field usage and times. So as we consider any shifts, we would want to make sure we're including them in that conversation as it might impact field use. So thank you so much on behalf of William and I for the opportunity to present this to you this evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bates and Ms. Michael. That was a very informative and a very balanced presentation. It is, I think you said it, Mr. Bates, it's sort of push and pull, right? That we all, obviously it's a no-brainer. We know that sleeping later is better for our teens, but there are those operational pieces that are challenging. I'll open it up to questions. One or comments? Yes, Ms. Silverman?
I'll start. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was great to, it was a very balanced presentation. I appreciate that. You know, one concern that I have is really just the unintended consequences. I think that you've brought a lot of foresight as to what some of these consequences might be. I'm sure there's a ton others that we just wouldn't even know what those consequences would be should we change the start times. One thing that I think would be really interesting to consider, even though it's not moving this to the, optimal time of 8:30, is that 7:35 drop-off time at the secondary campus. I understand that's because of the JTP issue. I don't know, not that I would ever say, let's cut JTP out. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if there was a way to adjust the school hours of JTP to maybe after Mount Daniel, that just completely eliminates the JTP issue. You can drop kids off at secondary at 8 o'clock, do the Mount Daniel Oak Street run, and then do a JTP run. It's an idea. Would there be a way to, you wouldn't need a bus driver's license to have a van. Is there a way to just supplement any sort of JTP runs in the middle if we don't change the start time of JTP, by having non-bus driving licensed people doing the runs for JTP, figuring out that one piece can allow secondary to start at 8, it's not 8:30, but it's also not 7:35, which it is for a lot of students today. So getting it back to that at least 8 o'clock, 8:05, I think is just a significant positive change without messing with the complete ecosystem of the whole start time community. Just some thoughts I've had.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that thought. One of the challenges as we were looking at JTP and fitting them in is that their school day is a different length, right? So we have to be careful when we adjust the start time for JTP that we're not getting an end time that's conflicting with our dismissals at the other schools. But I'll be very, very happy to check that. When we look at Jesse Thackeray Preschool and getting those kids to and from school, those students are all in car seats that are buckled into the bus, and we cannot transport any students in 15-passenger vans because it's prohibited. So we have, typical like minivans, I guess is the right word for them, right? So in terms of getting about 70 students there and looking at how many of them ride the bus, right, it would probably take a substantial number of vans, but it's certainly something we can think through in terms of getting them there. But they are currently transported not only on a bus, but they also have an aid in terms of getting all those kids buckled into their car seats, unbuckled. Those runs take us a little bit more time at each stop, just getting the kids on and off.
Is every student in a car seat? Because I have experience at JTP, and we were not buckled.
They should have either been in a car seat or there's actually seat belts in those buses for those students.
Yes, I think my daughter was in a seatbelt.
Yes.
Which I think they are for Mount Daniel as well?
No.
No, they're not. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Dr. Dimick, did you have comment?
Thank you very much for that presentation. And thank you for your review of the research. I think it does seem worthwhile to see what we could do to get our secondary students a bit more sleep. To me, the two big issues sort of at the outset for me of what you identified would be how does this affect our staff, and are we at risk of losing people who just can't make this work with their schedule, and then how will the community react to this change? It's lovely to have students have more sleep, but then they also get out of school later. Can they make their after school activities? I remember the last time the elementary school start time was pushed back later, parents couldn't make it into DC. I think that isn't as much of an issue. Most people don't seem to be commuting into DC every day. But my concern would be the staff community and the parent-family community. And I know you mentioned athletics, but I guess I wonder, how many students is that out of a high school of 880 plus? It just seems like the majority of our students aren't going to be out regularly early to make games. And then I wondered about the Arlington Bell schedule because the Arlington high schools seem to start later than us. They start at 8:20 and go to 3:10, so we don't have perfect alignment with their bell schedule, but I don't know what that means for travel time to and from a location other than here.
So when we looked online, Arlington Career Center is actually on a different bell schedule than their other high schools. So Arlington Career Center is on a bell schedule from 8 until 3, which is definitely different than their other high schools.
And just to add to the conversation, what I understand from the conversations I've had with the athletics department at the high school, more than 50% of the students are involved in athletics and activities that could. But if they're on a team, they're all leaving early at some point for a contest out of the area.
Right, but numbers-wise, from what you presented in the last presentation, it did not seem that 400 of our high school students regularly leave early for games.
Yeah, it's over the 3 seasons, I guess. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I have a few numbers here. So when we looked at, and this is again, we're looking at spring of 20 22, so this was last spring since we don't have our spring numbers right now, but last year we had, it looks like, right around 341 students that were involved in spring sports, and they took a total of 83 trips, 83 away trips that departed prior to a 4/15 time frame. In the fall of 2022, which was this past fall, we had a total of 226 students that took a total of 43 away trips during the fall season. And then our winner had the lowest numbers. Our winner is, that includes girls basketball, boys basketball, swim and dive, and wrestling. They had a total of 150 total students with 31 away trips that were required by those students.
Does every student, the numbers that you just that you just mentioned, are those students that actually leave campus, or are there, some teams that don't leave campus at all and are a part of that sport, but they don't, for some reason, they're not on the travel sport of it? I don't know. Or do all those students leave?
Yeah, so at one point in time during the season, those students would be included in the count as students who leave. So, for instance, when we look at, and so if we compare, for instance, basketball is going to play about 20 to 25 games per season, excluding the playoffs. Of that, about half of those games will be away games, whereas during the football season, you have 10 games in a season, excluding the playoffs, and 5 of those games would be away games. So it depends on the sport, and different sports have different numbers of students. But when we look overall, that's why it was easiest for us to just pull total number of students per season, but knowing that included in that season, there's multiple sports and different numbers of students in each of those sports, and each of those sports, based upon the number of competitions that they have, are going to have a different number of away events that they have to travel to.
And are some students counted twice if they play a spring sport and a fall sport, or is this total number of each individual students?
Yeah, so what I just gave you there, the total number of students would be, what we have is 717 students out of 850. But we know that some of those students would be double counted. Some may be triple counted if they're 3-sport athletes.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it is hard. It's apples to oranges because even though football, as a football mom, has less competitions, there's 3 times the amount of students playing football that there are basketball. So a football team could be 45 students and a basketball team is like 15. So it's all sort of is a wash at Vice Chair Gould.
Yeah, no, echoing the comments about, I appreciate the balanced nature of the presentation. I think obviously this is a decision that our community is faced with, not just one group. And I appreciate how you approach this from both the research and also the logistical and the community aspect. I think my comments are more about just the overall issue itself. I mean, I know that any kind of change, or even keeping it where it is still, there's logistical concerns and there's staffing concerns, there's commitments. I think when I look at the evidence that you presented, Mr. Bates, and obviously knowing the evidence as well, we always strive in education to have evidence-based decision-making. That's our gold standard. Unfortunately, in education, there's very little evidence-based research that we can point to for pedagogical reasons or for other reasons. But this is pretty clear, and it looks like a lot of different agencies that you presented, as well as states, are falling in line with a significant amount of research. I would just say to the community and to my board colleagues, this is more than, I understand some people have said this is just a 25-minute change. And are we really going to disrupt all of this for just 25 more minutes? Can the students just fall asleep earlier? And what I would say is, I would say that I understand that's a simple argument, but given the research and given how much this impacts, and given we've got a possibility of making a decision that would impact every student every day for the entire year, I think it's an important decision that we have to think. And I think the one thing that I've thought about is a lot of decisions that we make up here impact the parents, impact the community. And we always say we're about the students, and I feel like this is a decision that is strictly about the students. And to some degree, there's going to be a lot of sacrifice by parents, by staff, by community, but this is about the students. And I think for me, that is the strongest reason to say I would be fully supportive of it really pushing for this 8:30 start time to what Ms. Michaels has presented. I do have some questions about some of the specifics about this, but I can hold my comments for other board members if they have comments.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Gould. Dr. Anderson, did you have any questions or comments?
To echo all my colleagues, thank you so much for the balanced presentation. It was very informative. And I did want to mention that our colleague, Dr. Ortiz, did kind of urge us to put the late start times on our kind of policy agenda to push in Richmond. So that's something that I think we can do actively. But a little bit more specifically, when looking at the sample bus schedule, I mean, it is, like you said, it is a tight turnaround. And so this is, absent any change in the agreement with Fairfax County, which I would encourage us to pursue all angles, then this would be kind of the only option for us is to do something along these lines. When we're looking at these tight turnarounds, on any given day, how often is a bus late? Because I imagine since that's going to flow through, and since they're very tight turnarounds, I imagine that's going to flow through everything. And so if one bus is late for the secondary, then that's going to flow through the elementary. And so I just don't know what the frequency is of kind of the schedule being missed. And if it's missed frequently, then that's going to cause some problems for lots of students each day.
So getting students to school safely is always our highest priority, and on time is a close second behind student safety. What I would say is generally we don't have buses that are late. Sometimes when we do, we may have a mechanical issue or a driver issue. Generally, though, we don't see buses being late, right? Probably our biggest challenge in terms of bus timeliness right now is twofold, either trying to juggle runs as we're dealing with staff outages. For example, when we've had challenges with COVID in the past, we've had to double up runs because someone is sick. That sometimes causes us to be late. And then also as we're trying to balance ensuring that we can do as much as we can to support athletics as well as our regular bus runs. Sometimes then we use substitute drivers. We try to use substitute drivers for our regular runs to send our regular employees on the athletic runs. They love going with those teams. They have great relationships, and they really value supporting those teams and being there. But I think as we look at these challenges, they're mostly human, right? And really thinking through, as we test these runs, do we think that we can accomplish this? But I would say currently our buses typically aren't late.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Ms. Tice.
All right. Thank you again. I felt like this was a really excellent follow-up to our conversation from a few months ago, and really is continuing the conversation just as we were all hoping. At this point, I just don't know how we don't pursue this in one way or another. We teach our students all the time to make informed decisions and to follow the science and to live our values, and we're stating wellness as a pillar. The data is clear. So I really appreciate the hard work and the creativity that you all have put into trying to make this work for the betterment of our students. I would just say no choice here is void of is absent of disadvantages, right? I mean, if we stay the course, there's plenty of disadvantages, as we all know from the data, right? So it's not like our current situation is perfect. So I think, and any change we make is also not going to be perfect. And I appreciated when you said it's really family specific, employee specific, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative impact. I mean, there's really no way to to please everyone. We do that all the time up here, right? We know a lot of our decisions can't please everyone, but we can do what's in the best interest of our kids and hope that that we can do it in a way that lessens the blow and is at least informed by the challenges that it will prevent for the families where it's a negative. I happen to know plenty of families who it'll be a positive, so you just can't know. I also, just to follow up on the athletics piece, I know that we talked about where the district that we're slated in based on our size and how that creates, a real challenge with a lot of our travel distances. Just for the benefit of anybody who didn't see the first presentation, I wondered if you could if someone the best person to answer could just highlight what that is and what exactly the restrictions would be for changing that district.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So where we are right now is we have to remain in the district. We've reached out to the VHSL, who has told us that we have to stay in the district. Unfortunately, there was a deadline last summer that we needed to meet in as far as making a request to move to another district. And since we missed that deadline, I think it was in the October timeframe, Dr. Noonan had sent a letter to a number of other superintendents. Because one thing that we have to understand is that in addition to sending something to the VHSL, in order to move into another district, the superintendents and the DSAs, or Director of Student Activities or athletic directors of that district, would have to vote and accept the requesting school school to come into that district. And unfortunately, we've been told that we've missed the timeline, and so that's like a 4-year process.
Redistricting and realignment, it's called, or R&R, is sort of the local vernacular. And what Mr. Bates indicated is true, that timeline has passed. We hadn't reached out to another division to move into another division. There wasn't any reason to at that point. The last time we had that opportunity was about 4 years ago, when Julie Braven was the Director of Student Activities at the former George Mason, now Meridian. And there was some conversation about getting into the National District. At the time, it was called the National District, which includes Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I believe Marshall was in there. A couple others are in the National District. And the decision at that point was to stay the course in the current district that we were in for a variety of reasons. One was competitiveness. Another was the size of some of the students in football and things like that. If you're playing a larger school, schools that have 2,000 kids versus 800 kids, their pool of applicants or pool of athletes is remarkably different. We are up for R&R again in 2 years. And at that point, we could engage differently. And so if the board were to make a decision to ask the superintendent to change the start times, if you wanted to do that at the corresponding timeline of moving districts or whatever, if you wanted to consider that as part of the conversation, we certainly could at least engage in the conversation about looking at a closer district. I know that that's been on the docket for a while. I think more of it was a safety issue and a competitiveness issue.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's really important for the community to hear and understand. And I think it's tricky because I also, in the context of talking about what's wellness of our students and what's in the best interest of our students, I would never want to put our athletes at risk and playing, athletes that would put them in danger from a size differential. But that's such a small percentage of our athletes that engage in sports where it would be a true safety issue. I think that's a conversation worth having. But I also just think about these athletes that we're putting on buses for an hour and a half each way, 3 hours on a bus. And is that really, in the interest of wellness for our students? I just have some concerns about that being the best practice either. I realize it's very complicated and nothing can change overnight. I just think it's something that we should keep in mind when we're talking about all of the wellness and the health of our kids.
Yes, Vice Chair Gould.
Yeah, a couple questions, Mr. Bates, about some of the things you raised. You raised a good concern about the cost, especially for charter buses. You said, I think you mentioned there was $15,000 that we paid this past year or past season for bus drivers. Was that due to the inability for our existing bus drivers to be able to cover another shift, or was that a lack of bus drivers that we had, given the CDL issues that we've seen elsewhere? What's the cause of that $15,000, especially from a budget perspective? We have to think about that. Or did I hear that wrong? That's another option for you.
No, I think you heard that correctly. I just wanted to clarify. So to date this year, so beginning in August 2022 up through right around last week, we've spent about $15,000.
Okay. And that's due to are we short CDL drivers and that's the reason? Or is it, because you kind of mentioned it in the sense that if we start butting up these schedules, they will not be able to do both, and that's why we're paying for charter buses. I don't know if that's a driver issue or a vehicle issue, or both.
It's probably a combination. So when we look at right now, typically what happens is we use this tiered system. So drivers first do a JTP run, then they do a secondary run, and then they do an elementary run.
Okay.
When buses leave, if they don't leave for an athletic event until after we've completed our elementary run, we have absolutely no problem having our regular drivers take those runs. And our drivers love to take athletic runs. They love our students. They love supporting them. It's an additional opportunity to work. So if the departure time is after the elementary run, no problem. Sometimes what happens is the bus needs to leave a little bit earlier, so if they can make their JTP run and their secondary run, right, then we only need to get a sub-driver to do the elementary run, and we can still have that regular bus driver take the athletic trip, right? Sometimes the athletic buses leave so early that we need to get a sub-driver for a bus driver to cover the secondary run as well as the elementary run. So we do hire substitute bus drivers. Hiring bus drivers has definitely been a challenge. We're super hopeful that as we look at this health insurance rate change in this budget, that's really going to be just a significant impact to our bus drivers. We continually try to recruit additional drivers. And the other kind of challenge we face is when people are out for medical issues. And then lastly, we sometimes also use charter buses depending on the length of the time that the trip is going away. So let's say it happens to be an event that's an all-day event. Well, generally, we don't have a bus driver to send for an all-day event if it's a school day, so we may use a charter bus there, or sometimes for playoffs, as we're looking at, like going to states, for example, we'll send the students in a charter bus as well. So
Okay.
it's probably a little bit of all of that.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the other quick question I had is about the Arlington Career Center. How many students do we have that attends the Arlington Career Center? Did you mention that?
I don't think I did. So we have our MOU includes up to 30 students per year, and right now I think we're right at 22 or 23. I think we started with 25 at the beginning of the year, and then we had 3 that weren't able to continue due to scheduling conflicts or personal choice.
So how would this impact their ability if there is, it sounds like a 30-minute difference in start times? Any guesses on how that would impact their enrollment in this career center? Because that's important to figure out.
Yeah, so it could impact based upon schedule and when courses are offered. And if that 30 minutes, if it puts more of a restriction, let's say if it puts more of a restriction on a morning course or an afternoon course, then the student might be obligated to select one versus the other, which again, because we're so small and oftentimes we're not able to offer an expansion or an expanded number of sections for certain courses. That means students have fewer opportunities to take certain courses or classes in their schedule. And so if one class that I really, really want to take, or it could be an IB course, and it's offered in the morning, and based upon this change in the schedule, I have to go to the ACC in the morning,
Right.
then that's where we see some of those personal conflicts.
Okay, and if, for anyone who's watching, we're not making any decision tonight. This is a process we're all going through. I think it might be valuable to engage with those students and find out the impact and what their thoughts are, if they would give recommendations as well about this change, possible change.
And we currently, just for people listening, do a separate Arlington Career Center bus run in the morning. Right, so if students were still to enroll in a course that started at ACC at 8, our paper-based planning for this transportation route didn't adjust our bus there, so we could still get that bus there by 8 o'clock. Those students would obviously then have an earlier pickup.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. Dr. Anderson, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, so just on the cost of the substitute bus drivers and charters, how much would that actually change with switching to an 8:30 start for the high school? Because, I mean, just my uneducated hypothesis is that it wouldn't change that much. Because if there's no problem with starting, if we need the bus driver after elementary, then that's no problem with the new schedule either. And a 25-minute change in the schedule for the high school, I'm not quite sure how that would affect what the difference would be between now and an alternative schedule. So if you could just speak to that.
I've done absolutely none of those calculations yet, like absolutely none, so I can't answer that yet.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Dr. Dimick, did anyone else have some?
I guess I just have a sort of embarking on this. I would like us to make this decision based on what's sort of best for all of our students. It would pain me for a board to tie this change to getting into a different athletic league. This our secondary campus has, if this extra sleep is beneficial for ages 13 and up, that's a lot of kids at our secondary campus that this may be a benefit for. But I do think I guess I'd like to, as a follow-up on this, hear what the next steps would be, because there are so many moving parts, and before really embarking on it, I guess we need to know how our constituents would be it staff or families. And I appreciate Dr. Gould's point of this might be challenging for everyone, but very beneficial for the kids. But if we can't make it work, then we can't make it work.
Ms. Silverman?
I just also want to, I just keep reminding myself that, yes, there are health reasons to push back the start time, but, you know, the overall health of a student just encompasses so many more things. And yes, sleep hygiene is one of the most important things, but, you know, after-school activities, whether it's sports or any other after-school activity, whether it's an after-school job, whether it's something else that they are involved in, you know, all of those things combined goes toward the health of our children. So, you know, just making sure that we have a very broad definition of best interest of the kids.
I think that's right. I you know, as someone who has a football player, you know, football practices are probably the longest practice of any sports, and they can go 4 hours long. And, you know, with getting out at 3 o'clock, our football player often wouldn't be home till 7:30, misses dinner with the family, and it was bothersome to him. So now you're saying, now if we had extended, now we end at 3:30, now he's not home till 8. You know, sometimes, you know, and it depends because, you know, by the time you get all the equipment and all that. So my point to you is I think that's right, that I think, you know, it's more sleep. Obviously, we don't need to go over all that research. We know that's important, but there's other pieces of that are important too. I know my football player would like to come home earlier in the evening than later in the evening. So, so I think, you know, we would have to do a lot of outreach to all segments of the community. Of course, the staff, you know, the teacher, all of the coaches, because that is a big piece. Would we lose coaches who, you know, if we were to extend the end time, would we lose MEH teachers who might not want to do clubs because now they're going till 5 o'clock? You know, how do the Justy Thackeray parents feel starting earlier? So we, you know, And then there's the opposite piece, of course. We need to reach out to students, I'm sure, would love to hear, and parents would love to have their kids have more sleep. So there's that piece too. So there's so many competing interests, and this is something that's very, as we all know, it's major. So we would really need to reach out to, teachers, staff, administrators, parents, students, really everyone. And so I think Vice Chair Gould and Dr. Noonan and I will talk, and then we'll come up with some next steps after we sort of think it through. If that's okay with everyone. Okay, but Ms. Michael and Mr. Bates and Dr. Noonan, I know this is, and everyone else who worked on this presentation, I know this was a lot of work, both part 1 and part 2. And so just please know how much we appreciate this balanced presentation. Yes.
I just want to clarify, because I know a lot of people watch these after the fact. I wasn't suggesting that the decision be driven by whether we get into a different athletic league. It was, if you're going to make this decision and you wanted to tie it to the timing of moving to a different league, that might be something to consider. I wasn't at all suggesting that if we don't get into another league, you shouldn't move.
I understood that. So thank you again to everyone who worked on this presentation. It was very balanced and a lot of work. And I think everyone up here knows that this is a major undertaking, and we want to be careful not to pit one part of the community against another part. So we just want to make sure that we can listen to all different segments of the community. And but as I said, Vice Chair Gould and Dr. Noonan and I will figure out some next steps and be in touch with the board. Okay, we're going to move on now to 9.02, collective bargaining update. And I have a quick update. We've made some progress, and we're close. The collective bargaining committee, which is chaired by Dr. Noonan, is close to coming to agreement on finalizing a collective bargaining resolution that we will show to this board. We haven't shown you all one yet because we've been talking with our colleagues and management and our teachers, and we've been going back and forth on a lot of different issues. We're close to, we think, the finish line, and so we'll be able to show something to this board soon. 2 items that are still being discussed in the committee is how a future board will address the number of working conditions, and also how a future board would deal with expired collective bargaining agreements. So we're still working on those 2 points. Our next meeting is February 27th. And so we hope, I know Ms. Minson hopes to have something to you all prior to that meeting on February 27th to look at. So more to come on that. And now we're here for why Ms. Michael is here, and Ms. Kopic, the poor that we buried the lead. This is so budget. Here we are with the budget. 10.01 FY24 budget questions and answers. And can I go straight to Ms. Michael? All right, straight to you, Ms. Michael.
So thank you so much to the school board for all of your budget questions. This evening, we posted the most recent set of questions for you that begin with question number 17 on position reductions. In the past, we've kind of walked through each of the questions and answers at these meetings. I'm happy to do that this evening, or in the interest of time, I would be happy to jump to just taking any questions from the school board on the responses to questions 17 through 24.
Sorry. Yes, Dr. Anderson.
So on question 18, the collective bargaining, thank you for providing the information. I was just wondering, do you have any idea kind of what I know we have like this certain amount set aside for the collective bargaining. Do you have any idea about how much would actually be expended through the negotiation process? Obviously, it depends on the timing and whatnot, but.
Yes, and I don't have any estimate in terms of how much we're spending. I think in part as we work through collective bargaining and looking at it, we could experience costs in a number of different places. So right now, as we're looking at developing our collective bargaining resolution, right, our expenditures that we're incurring are paying the staff that are participating on the committee for their time there, which we'll do at the end, and then any external legal advice that we seek. Once that agreement is in place, though, we will have additional expenditures that, depending on how that resolution is drafted, we could potentially be paying half of. So, for example, half of the cost of an election, half of a cost of anyone we bring in terms of any impasse or resolving conflicts. And then, of course, during any of that process, if we wanted to hire any additional external legal support, we could have additional costs there. I thought one thing that might help kind of a little bit quantify that information is on page 2 of this budget question. I guess it actually starts on the bottom of that question. Falls Church City Public Schools participates in the Washington Area Boards of Education Guide, and that group is a group that gets together and puts together comparable data each fall in that document. But that group is a great resource in terms of asking them information. So we had reached out to them about a week or so ago and asked all of the jurisdictions what they were budgeting to spend either in dollars or positions for collective bargaining, either in the current year budget or the next year budget. And all of those responses are listed here. So you can see many divisions have added additional staffing to help them manage collective bargaining or have set aside other funds to do so. So I know all of the districts kind of vary in size, but I would say at present, until we have that collective bargaining resolution done, I think it's difficult to estimate how much we're going to spend.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. I will say one thing that we talked with during the committee discussions is staggering these agreements so that Ms. Minson and whoever else is involved isn't having to do all of this with 2 different bargaining units at once. So we are trying to be smart about it, but I think I've also made very clear that, we don't want, this is not Ms. Minson's job, is solely collective bargaining. So, whether, a future board, this board may have to dedicate a lot of money towards collective bargaining for either more staff to handle the workload or to hire outside counsel, because again, I look to Ms. Minson, but also Ms. Michael and Ms. Hall. This is not their sole job, obviously. And so I think Dr. Noonan and I were reading, and Dr. Dimick and I were reading an article about, the staff can't even give up really 25%. They're working so hard. So I just think this board and a future board may need to be prepared that there's going to be significant dollars going to support our staff. So, any other questions? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Michael. Was there any? We were at. I'm sorry. You said questions. I actually had a question at number. We were at number 21. I had a question. Were we up to number 21?
I'm happy to walk through them each individually if that's helpful.
Sure.
Okay. So FY17, that budget question was related to grant funding from Don Beyer to the general government. So they responded talking about how that funding is for additional projects and doesn't free up any other revenue available. We had just talked a little bit about question number 18 regarding collective bargaining. And then question 19 was related to the compensation study and that placeholder that we have available. Any questions on the compensation study? Okay, question 20 was also related to the compensation study in terms of assistant principals. Question 21 had to do with the number of students that were projected to enroll in Falls Church City Public Schools as a result of the Founders Row project. And the general government provided us the percentage of those units that's currently leased and what their projected range was. And our current enrollment is in the middle of that range.
I have a question about that, Ms. Michael.
Okay.
So, so my understanding when I was looking at the budget book is we currently have 48 students, right, from Founders Row, and the estimate was 43 to 65, but there's still 52 units vacant.
That is correct. They've leased 84% of their properties.
Okay.
So we're currently within that range, a little bit closer to the lower end, but they do still have 16% of those multifamily units yet to rent.
Okay. So if you could just, not that you don't have anything else to do, but keep us apprised of that number.
Sure.
Because I think that's just, and I know we have Ms. Connolly in the audience too, and we're partners with the general government, but I think it's just a good test case to see how our projections are going with all the new development coming online.
Agreed, and potentially we can wait a little bit later in the spring or early in the summer and ask if they can give us an update in terms of the percent leased, and then we can also pull enrollment from there and provide it to the board.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Michael.
Question 22 was related to cost for bridging the gap for students in terms of their SOL scores. Question 23 was regarding the funding for the sustainability and instructional materials at the secondary level. And then the last question is related to what we just talked about, number 24, which is the demographer, and our partnership with the general government to get some demographer service. And this was really related to the fact that our current enrollment projections done by Weldon Cooper don't in any way take new developments into account.
Though it's tangentially related to the question, do we have any idea when we might do that? Like partner on the demographer or?
Let me speak to the city manager and get back to you.
Okay. Is that it? That was our last one?
That's the last question.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or follow-ups to the budget questions? Great. Well, thank you, Ms. Michael and Ms. Kopic, as always. Thank you for those great, informative answers to, you're really helping educate us on the budget. So it's just, these budget question and answers are so valuable for us. Thank you so much for the work you put into those. And we're at 10.02 FY24 state budget update. I'm assuming, Ms. Michael, you'll take that on as well?
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity again to talk a little bit about the state budget. So the state budget is currently in process. So we just wanted to give an update of the current proposals that were coming out of the House and Senate. So the House and Senate are pretty far apart. As was sorted in the news this week, they have a large budget gap between their full proposals that include more than K-12 education. But we wanted to talk just a little bit about what their differences are. So this chart shows the governor's proposed budget, which is what we use to develop our budget for FY24. And then we've shown you what is the House proposal and then what is the Senate proposal. And you can see even for just Falls Church City Public Schools, there's a big difference. The House budget as compared to the governor's was actually a decrease of $41,147 versus the Senate proposal would actually increase our state funding by $654. So what is the difference kind of in those two proposals? Well, the first thing I wanted to point out is both the House and Senate increased the compensation supplement for school divisions, but it would require an increase for the average employee to be 7% as compared to 5% in the governor's proposal. So again, that funding is contingent upon us meeting that requirement. Now, they obviously fund only a small portion of the funding that it costs us to give those salary increases because that funding goes through our local composite index and is based on linear weighted averages in terms of salaries. But that does attribute to some of that additional funding. When we look at those proposal, the Senate increase, obviously, their budget overall is more favorable to us, but their proposed language was also more favorable because their proposal said funding that was provided to employees as part of the average salary increase in this current year that was above the 5% that was required by the state may count towards meeting that 7% to next year. So we'll very closely watch the House and the Senate as they continue their negotiations on this budget and what happens in terms of that employee compensation funding. Many people heard in the news that there was an error in the calculation done by the Virginia Department of Education in terms of state aid. Falls Church City Public Schools and all of the other school divisions in the state rely on the calculation tools that VDOE, the Virginia Department of Education, provides us. And they had an error in that tool. That error resulted from sales tax. When they reduced or eliminated the sales tax on groceries, they put a hold harmless payment in for school divisions. And that hold harmless payment wasn't part of the sales tax calculation. And there's this thing called the basic aid offset that says when your sales tax goes up, your basic aid goes down. Or in this case, when the sales tax went down because of that grocery tax, basic aid went up. When the state is saying it shouldn't have went up because the hold harmless should have been counted as part of sales tax. So both the House and the Senate versions do offset that loss, but they use a different methodology. Again, the Senate version looks more favorable to us. And then the last significant difference is the Senate version removes the support cap, and that would provide additional revenue to us of over $200,000. The support cap began in 2010. We have an upcoming budget question regarding this. But what it does is it arbitrarily caps the funding that the state provides for support positions. And support positions include more than what we just generally think of as support. So, for example, assistant superintendents, instructional personnel fall in that category. That's been one of our legislative positions, so we continue to watch that as well. And then the last bullet on the slide is that the state has a $1,000 bonus and their proposal as well. Should that come through, depending on what we would determine to do for our employees, there could be additional funding of $300,000 needed if we were to give that to all employees. So again, we're going to want to watch all of these state components closely, but the Senate and the House do still have a big gap that they'll need to resolve prior to getting the budget adopted. So this is just the state budget schedule, just to remind people. The state is scheduled to come to an end of their session on February 25th, and we are super hopeful that they will do that. Then following that, we'll receive, again, those calculation tools from the Virginia Department of Education in the week or two after that. So this is the schedule for the state budget. And just as one other note, we're super excited. The daycare bill that we were working on with just tremendous support from Delegate Simon has passed the House, and it was in the Senate, but was already reported out from the Senate Education and Health Committee. So that is looking really positive, and we are super hopeful about that as we work on the state budget. And then just the budget calendar was provided as a reminder for people who may be watching. So thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on the state budget.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Any questions? Nope. Yes, Ms. Silverman.
So at the next meeting, we're voting on the budget next meeting? Is that at the next work session?
Yes, the school board will adopt the advertised budget on February 28th.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, so that's that becomes in our budget, but then once city council, we come back then and to vote on, was it in May, Dr. Noonan? Yeah. So, and sometimes there are adjustments made, right, during that time?
Yeah, at the May adjustment, at the May adoption, following the city council meeting, which is the very next night, there may be some slight modifications that you need to make just to sort of true things up. But the big night is coming up next meeting, because then it becomes the school board's budget, no longer is the superintendent's proposed budget.
Yes, Ms. Silverman.
I do. Are we having a work session next time on advanced academics?
Yes.
Okay. I'll talk to you offline maybe. Just it might be. I would personally like to have that work session before a vote on the budget.
Okay. We'll talk offline and about the timing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now back to Ms. Michael. It's the Kristen Michael show tonight. 10.03 upcoming FY23 budget amendments.
So thank you so much to Michelle Kopic, who's here tonight, who has developed all of the budget amendments that we have posted for this evening. These items that we posted for tonight, we're sharing just so the school board has seen them and we have the ability to have discussion before we would bring them to you for your approval at the February 28th meeting at the same time that you adopt the advertised budget. So the first budget amendment that we want to bring forward is for carryover items from FY22. So all of those items were items that the school board approved in the last fiscal year, but because we didn't receive all those items or complete the work by June 30th, those purchase orders or those encumbrances automatically roll over into FY23, into this year. So an example of some of those are the open purchase order that we have to replace the heating and the air conditioning at Mary Ellen Henderson using that federal funding. The school board approved that in FY22, but that work is not yet done. Hopefully they'll be starting that over spring break very soon. So that purchase order is coming into this fiscal year, and we need the board to approve the funding in this fiscal year. So that is the first budget amendment. We did include in the chart all of the things that are carrying over from the prior year, including both the vendor and what those items are for. So some of the significant items, again, are that heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, also often referred to by that acronym HVAC, the electric buses, and the flooring project that we completed at Mary Ellen Henderson over the summer. So that was the first budget amendment. The second budget amendment that we had is related to all of our multi-year pandemic funded supports that we have for students. All of these items were included in our prior pandemic funding plan, and these multi-year funds are carrying over, and they come from a variety of pandemic funding sources, including support that we receive from the general government. So all of this funding is one time, so it's not recurring. So each year that we've had pandemic funding, we've come to the school board to ask for a budget amendment to allow us to expend this funding in the current year. So this budget amendment includes the chart that indicates what all of those funding sources are and how we're expending that money. And then also, just as a reminder, we do have a pandemic funding summary by year included in the budget document, so you can see what we spent in the past as well as what we spent in the future. And as John is showing, Michelle has descriptions of each of these items following the chart as well. And then the third budget amendment that we'll be bringing at our next meeting is for items that are included in the FY24 proposed budget that's part of what you're voting on next week in the advertised budget. For some of these items, we're requesting access to the funding prior to July 1st, which would allow us to contract for those projects so we could start the work over the summer. So some of those items where advanced funding would really help us in terms of the timing for implementation include the tennis court lighting that's proposed at the secondary campus, the improvements we'd like to make at the Jesse Thackeray Playground, the responsive classroom training, which we would like to do over the summer, the improvements to the baseball field, and then lastly, the software that we use for our local school activity funds and the remote banking scanners for our new banking contract with JP Morgan Chase. So all of those items are detailed in the FY24 budget. They're on all of our expenditure highlight charts showing that that's coming from one-time funding. But we would like to request at the next meeting access to start spending that money before so we could start initiating those projects. And again, thanks to Michelle, all of the details for these items follow the charts. So we'd be happy to answer any questions from you this evening or before that next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Any questions from anyone? Okay, and Ms. Kopic, thank you again for all of your work on this. Very thorough. That's probably why we have no questions, because it's so thorough. But thank you. No, it makes sense to get ahead of some of these projects over the summer to start spending that money earlier. Okay, well, thank you. Anything else in the budget before we close this out? Okay, and again, Ms. Michael, Ms. Kopic, thank you. And thank you for staying. I know the evening is getting late, so thank you, Ms. Kopic, too, for staying with us so late this evening. We're at 11.01, future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items? Yes, Ms. Silverman.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to request that we have a discussion about early release Wednesdays added to the future agenda.
Okay, and so to expand on that a little bit, what are you thinking in terms of what you want to, I guess, what's your end goal with this? What do you want to talk about? What are you really looking at with this?
Sure. I would like to look at, have a discussion with the board about all of early release Wednesdays, probably highlighting the elementary level and preschool early release Wednesdays more so, but taking a look at the whole system of it and really determining whether given especially the fact that elementary teachers are now given 90 minutes of prep time per day, whether they are still needed and whether if the burden and the cost on our children of, tons of education time lost in the classroom is still worth it at this point.
Thank you. Oops. Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Is there consensus on the board to bring this forward? Okay, I see head nods. Okay, so we'll, I think we will, in the next month or so, have this as a work session.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, Dr. Noonan.
So I think what I'd like to do, knowing that sort of what that outcome sought is to sort of discuss and have a conversation, are they still needed or not, is pose to the board some questions to help drive some of the conversation in advance. So I'll meet with William and the team to come up with a core set of questions, but send those out to you guys and see, are we on the right track? And if not, you can weigh in on some questions that you may have as well so that we meet the need of the presentation effectively.
Thank you, Dr. Noonan. That's terrific. I think what we're trying to get at here is the staff time is so valuable, and we want to make sure that their time is being put to good use. And so what we would like to see in a presentation, so that they're not putting a lot of time into something that's not what we wanted. So thank you, Dr. Noonan, for that. I really appreciate it. Any other agenda items? Yes, Vice Chair Gould.
Something Dr. Ortiz, he did mention a question about the update for electric buses and the charging infrastructure and how it's working. I don't know if that's an agenda item or just more of an update that possibly Dr. Noonan, I don't think it's ready yet, correct, for any update?
Yeah, we can put an update in Noonan's notes this Friday.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gould. Anything else? Okay, we're going to move on to 12.01, the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you so much. I have a few updates tonight. We're going to organize them by key indicator on the strategic plan sort of going forward. So in terms of communication and community outreach, as was mentioned earlier, the communication survey, it's not an audit, survey is now open. And it is an opportunity for everyone in the community to provide us feedback on how they connect with FCCPS, what they love, what can be improved. The link to the survey is in morning announcements or directly online if you go to our website, fccps.org/survey, and that will be open until February 26th. With respect to being good fiscal stewards and making sure that we are efficient, just a reminder to everybody in the community that if you travel on Oak Street, this is not going to be news to you, but if you haven't driven that part of the town in a while, be prepared to take a detour. The bridge across Trips Run that is near Oak Street Elementary School between South Lee and Timber Lane is closed to vehicular traffic. The existing South Oak Street Bridge was built in 1953 and had a 10-ton weight limit, and the new bridge will not have posted weight restrictions going forward and will feature new concrete foundation walls and a deck. And that is looking like it's going to be completed probably in late '23. We have been able to find a workaround with our transportation, and that's good, but the Tiger Trail is still open for pedestrians and bikers to access safely and will be maintained throughout the project. And information about the closing has gone out to families, and details about the project can be found on the general government's website and linked to Oak Street Elementary site. As you mentioned tonight and passed the resolution, we really appreciate that regarding Black History Month. It is obviously something that's very important to us, and we recognize it in a number of ways in FCCPS, and here's just a sampling of some of the things that are happening around FCCPS to celebrate Black History Month. First, we are spotlighting employees each week in our morning announcements. The Black Student Union at Meridian hosted a student panel in response to the death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis. Meridian has a local Falls Church history PowerPoint playing on all of its screens. In the daily announcements at both Meridian and Mary Ellen Henderson, we are including Black history information and questions. Tosin Adatoro at Oak Street, who is our, I was going to say rock star, but I think we've probably all seen that commercial now from this Super Bowl. I can't say rock star anymore, but our amazing teacher in the STEM program over there is sending daily tweets out spotlighting noteworthy African Americans in the U.S., and our History Matters website includes a calendar of community events. Speaking of Tosin Adatoro, Steam Night at Oak Street is this Thursday. It's an amazing night at Oak Street from 6:30 to 8. If you can dream it, you can steam it is the slogan. And STEAM teacher Tosin Adatoro and a group of 5th grade students are leading activities like drone flights, 3D printing, robotics, and much more. Today was, if you didn't know, the 100th day of school, and we're very excited about that. And then the last update I have is a less than pleasant one, but it goes to our wellness, equity, and belonging, and that is about opioid abuse and Narcan training. Opioid abuse has been a problem throughout the U.S. and our region for many years, and we've been touched recently by something that happened in a neighboring jurisdiction recently. And with the emergence of fentanyl pills, opioid overdoses becoming more common, FCCPS it wants to be positioned well to deal with that. And thankfully, law enforcement has been involved with us. And the reality is that we as educators and parents understand that drugs do, exist in our community. Students are exposed to them, and some will even take them. So we must work together to address this concern with parents, schools, law enforcement, our public health officials. And we are focusing here in the schools on prevention, education, and intervention. And some examples of our efforts are listed here. First is teaching the Virginia Standards of Learning for health and wellness that addresses directly substance abuse, including the dangers of opioids. We will continue to implement and enforce the school board policies around substance abuse. We're providing access to mental health support in our schools, from school counselors, social workers, to psychologists. We're educating students on the dangers of opioids, specifically fentanyl, in class meetings, Mustang block, pack time, health and PE classes, and other opportunities as they come up. We believe in teaching in time as well. We are ensuring the availability of Narcan and naloxone medication in our secondary schools and training staff on how to administer that. In case of an overdose, we're providing signage in schools that is both in English and Spanish to support recognizing and responding to overdoses, as well as information about the dangers of opioid use, or updating our website to include information and resources for families and staff. Regarding substance abuse, we're collaborating with the community partners like the Community Service Board and Arlington Courts Intake Unit to link families to support for substance abuse. We're implementing a comprehensive model of threat assessments to assess harm to self and others across the division, and we are offering parent education resources to support families as they address the topic of substance abuse in their home. And so anything that parents need, we're willing to provide to them with respect to resources. But obviously, this is another sort of pandemic in some ways that has touched our community. And just proves once again that we aren't immune to everything, and we are prepared to work right alongside families to help and support them as they support their students that may need some extra support. So with that, that ends my superintendent's report, sadly on an end note that's not so high, but important.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Noon. I really appreciate it. Ms. Sharp, I see you in the audience. Thank you, too, for all the information that's been going out. I think that's really given parents some peace of mind that we're on top of things. I mean, as much as we can be on top of things, we are. So thank you very much. We're moving. Does anyone have any questions about Dr. Noon's update? Okay. We are going to move on now to 1301, board and student liaison comments. Mr. Kasher, thank you for staying so late. We told you can sneak out at 9 o'clock, but thank you. Do you have any updates for us?
I want to bring attention to the third-party partnership between SCA and Habitat for Humanity. Together they're running a drive for the next month to support the victims of the Central Mission School earthquake. I urge everyone to support this project truly wherever they can. I'm also excited to announce that Meridian's Got Talent will be held in the IHS auditorium on February 17th at 7 p.m. It's an opportunity for students to showcase their talents and skills. I encourage everyone to attend and support students. I'd also like to remind everyone that the Youth Run Shoe Drive continues until February 17th. Please consider donating or carrying shoes to help those in need. I also heard that the snowball dance was great. Sports news, our boys basketball team is 14-7, and the girls basketball team is an impressive 19-1. Tryouts for spring sports begin next week. So make sure documents are filled out. And as a student who regularly struggles
Thank you, Mr. Casher. Okay, especially when we keep you here this late at night, right? Okay, I will go down. Ms. Silverman, we'll start with you. You have any updates?
Yes, I have a couple updates. One is I met with the Business and Education Committee, had a great talk about career chats. I believe that we just finished one up on February 6th, which actually I spoke with Mary Beth about yesterday, and it went very well, lots of participation. We have two more coming up, March 20th and May 15th. If you work in a field that you would like to come and talk to the students about, I'm sure they'd be excited to hear about what you do every day. STEAM Night is February 16th. That's in 2 days at Oak Street from 6:30 to 8. And the IB Career Program offers lots of exciting opportunities for MHS students. And then secondly, I met with our legislative consultant, Lila, who's unfortunately retiring soon, but I guess congratulations to her, unfortunate for us. I think a good thing that, one great thing that we have going for us, and I think things that we care about here in our school district is we have a divided government in Richmond, and a lot of the bills that we've seen, such as on gender identification, requiring parental notification from teachers to authorities on things, a lot of parental rights and book issues in the libraries and some of those types of topics passed the House, and I believe will be dying in the Senate, and it's going to be a lot of do nothing in Richmond, and that's about it. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Dr. Dimick.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't able to make the February library board meeting, but their meeting was dominated by their budget discussions. The January library board meeting was dominated by strategic plan, very familiar things to us. The choir had a very successful Broadway desserts, which my fellow board member attended happily. Upcoming for choir, they've got District Chorus is coming up. If you all are interested in their pre-assessment concert, that's March 8th, and there will be karaoke on March 30th at Clarendon's. You won the trivia, perhaps you'll win the karaoke. I'll put in a little band plug just because I have a band kid, and we now have a new band liaison. The band just had their district band, and they are also similar to choir getting ready for their assessment, and they'll have an assessment workshop this Wednesday if anyone wants to just hang out in the auditorium and listen to the wind ensemble play.
Thank you, Dr. Dimick. Vice Chair Gould.
Yep. At a Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, which always goes well, with Emily Jenkins leading us at 8 in the morning. But everything's going well there. I attended office hours with Chair Downs and had two pieces of important feedback. One was advocate for the administration and talking about the support and the attention to make sure that we keep our administrators, the leaders of the schools, at our forefront of our decision making, and making sure that we're thinking about the work that they're doing in terms of both from a budget perspective, but also from a work conditions. And then we also had someone visit us about literacy issues and talked about ensuring that Falls Church City is focused on research, evidence-based literacy, professional development, dyslexia identification, and really focusing at the elementary school. I've got a Mary Ellen Henderson PTA meeting, which Dr. Noonan is going to be the star next week, I think, presenting on the budget. And then we went to the budget meeting, but I'll let you present on that. Did I just pass that to you? I did.
I'll go over my updates real quick. So PTSA, Meridian PTSA is holding social and emotional intelligence seminars. They also had a super with SOUP, Super Bowl for the staff, lots of different soups and salads and things as a way to just thank the staff. Dr. Noonan and I attended the Falls Church Education Foundation strategic planning meeting at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, and it was a great, very positive meeting. Last year in 2022, the Education Foundation raised $194,000 in profit from their events, which is the highest since Debbie Hiscock became their executive director 10 years ago. They did notice that really the majority of their donors attend events versus just make straight donations. So it really looks like events are going to continue to be how they raise money. And last year they distributed close to $300,000 in grants, helping the families who need help, financial help through the Family Assistance Fund, the ESOL teachers and students, teacher training, and scholarships. And then also I attended the PEAK meeting. We talked about emergency protocols, the compensation survey, safe school training for staff, and textbook adoption and funding. And I will turn it over. I guess do you have a report yet? Have you gone to any? Oh, good. Dr. Anderson, please.
So I attended the daycare advisory board last night. They gave me a warm welcome. They also had many good things to say about Mr. Reidinger, and so it was a very fun group of people. They discussed the progress on the daycare bill that Ms. Michael mentioned earlier, and one of the staff from Oak Street was discussing that they are now in the kind of planning stages for activities for spring break. And I did want to mention that I had onboarding last week, and it was, I feel like there must be some like phrase that just messaging that gets sent out to staff, because I had several people say it was drinking out of a fire hose, and it certainly was. But it was, I met a lot of staff, several of whom are here, and they were very helpful in getting me acquainted with board duties, but also just kind of how FCCPS works, and I'm very grateful for that. And I got to tour all 5 schools with Dr. Noonan and Chair Downs and Vice Chair Gould. And the only suspect thing I saw was the Eagles propaganda at Mount Daniel, and my boys were very, very disappointed. They should have cheered for who their dad was cheering for, but that's okay. But that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Yeah, and I thought thank you again to the staff. As Dr. Anderson said, many whom are in the room. I thought it was a great onboarding week, and doesn't hurt that you've been attending school board meetings, one of the very few in the community. So you're pretty much up to speed. So that's helpful. Ms. Tice.
Okay, thank you. You have several updates. The Rec and Parks Committee actually did not meet last week. They were not able to get quorum, so I guess that agenda will get pushed to March. But I do know that we still have an opening on the Rec and Parks Advisory Board, so that would be wonderful if there's community members who are interested, particularly if you have kids in any rec programs or participate in the programs yourself. I attended the SPEAK Special Education Advisory Committee. We have 2 openings on that committee, one caused by our new colleague here to my left. So we'll be advertising that in the morning announcements this week. We had guest speakers of the new principal at Oak Street, Kareem Doherty, and the new special education administrator, Alex Rains, who's newly back from parental leave, and we had the joy of having her new baby with us too, which was such a treat. And so that was really helpful. We talked a lot about, we focused a lot on the services at the elementary level while they were there. We also continue to just focus on their charge of communication and making sure that special education families can access the messages and the resources of Falls Church City Public Schools. I did attend the Gifted Education Advisory Committee while Dr. Dimmick was away on a work conflict, and they had a great presentation from the new administrative role, focusing on what she's been able to do with professional development and teacher access to advanced academics materials and lessons. And they spent a few minutes revisiting the local plan that they've been working on, but largely they put that on pause, the comments that they had made on that, while they're awaiting our work session on the 28th. I think we've gotten a lot of advocacy from them and a lot of interest from particularly the Oak Street parents on the advanced academic services there, and I think they are eagerly awaiting the presentation and our work session on the 28th. I think we'll have a lot of people tuning in for that. I also attended the Health and Wellness Committee meeting, and they are focusing, I think they will also be tuning into tonight's presentation on start times, because sleep hygiene has been an important topic for them. I think another important topic for them was substance abuse. And I know they were really encouraged by a lot of the information that I know they will be encouraged also with what Dr. Noonan just shared. They're also putting together some presentations this spring hopefully for students during the school day and parents and caregivers at night.
Thank you, Ms. Tice. Okay, we're going to move on now to Section 14, approval of minutes. I know Ms. Goodell had sent these out to you in advance. And I'd like to ask that the school board provide unanimous consent to approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2022, March 3rd, 2022, March 8th, 2022, and January 31st, 2023 as presented. And hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. And we're at Section 15, materials for board review. We have an enrollment document, monthly budget monitoring report, and then Dr. Ortiz's feedback because he could not participate this evening, and I think he sent that to you all in advance as well. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, well, thank you, and thank you to all the staff. I know it's been a late evening. We really appreciate your time and your work and doing everything you can to support us, and we really appreciate it. Have a good evening. We're adjourned.